Smartsilence. Own the morning, control the day. This is why so many people feel behind before the day even begins. They woke up, but they did not arrive. Their body is awake, but their mind is already reacting. The Stoics would say the first task of the day is not speed, not performance, not productivity. It is governance. Who is in charge of your mind this morning? You or whatever reaches you first. Smartsilence begins here. It is not about making your morning look perfect. It is about protecting the most fragile window of the day, the moment when your thoughts are still taking shape and your emotional tone is still being set. If you guard that window, the rest of the day changes. You think better. You speak with more control. You recover faster when something goes wrong. You stop living as if every small event has the right to command your nervous system. What makes this hard is that distraction in the morning feels harmless. It feels normal. Everyone checks something. Everyone starts fast. Everyone lets the world rush in. But normal is not neutral. Normal is training. Every morning you either train reactivity or you train self-command. Every morning you teach your mind to obey impulse or to obey principle. The pattern repeats so quietly that most people call it personality. They say, "This is just how I am. I wake up stressed. I wake up anxious. I wake up scattered." No, you wake up unprotected. The good news is that control does not require a perfect life. It requires a protected beginning. A few minutes of silence can do more for your day than an hour of rushing. A clear mind at sunrise can save you from 10 bad decisions by afternoon. This is not mystical. It is practical. A mind that starts centered is harder to provoke. A mind that starts clear is harder to confuse. A mind that starts with intention is harder to hijack. So in this video, we are not building a morning routine to impress anyone. We are building a morning state that can survive reality. Not because the world will become easier, but because you will stop handing your center to every noise that knocks on the door. Own the morning and you stop spending the whole day trying to recover yourself. Before the world enters you, there is a brief moment that almost no one respects. It is the moment after waking, when your mind is open and your identity is still quiet. In that moment, you are highly impressionable. Whatever enters first often sets the tone. If the first thing you absorb is urgency, you become urgent. If the first thing you absorb is conflict, you become defensive. If the first thing you absorb is noise, your thoughts lose shape before they even form. This is the real theft of the morning, not time, attention. The world does not need an hour to take your peace. It only needs one unguarded minute, one glance at the wrong thing, one message read in the wrong state, one piece of information that your mind starts carrying before it has built any strength for the day. Then everything after that feels heavier than it should. You think the day is difficult, but the truth is your foundation was never stable. Seneca would remind you that a person is disturbed not by events, but by the judgment they attach to them. Morning is where these judgments begin moving quickly. When you wake up and immediately let external input in, you are giving your mind raw material before reason is present. You are asking an unprepared mind to interpret reality. That is why small things feel personal early in the day. You have not yet stepped into your higher mind. You are still in the doorway, and the world is already shouting. Protecting the morning does not mean hiding from life. It means entering life on your terms. It means allowing your own mind to speak before the world starts making demands. Sit up. Breathe. Let the room be quiet for a moment. Feel the difference between being awake and being available. Those are not the same thing. You can be awake without being accessible. You can be present without being open to intrusion. That distinction is power. The first victory of the day is not getting things done. It is refusing early invasion. It is proving that your inner state is not public property. Once you understand this, morning silence stops feeling passive. It becomes strategic. You are not doing nothing. You are building the conditions for clarity. You are telling the mind, we do not react first. We observe first. We do not absorb everything. We choose what enters. We do not begin in chaos. We begin in command. And this is where real self-respect begins, not in big speeches, not in future goals, but in the quiet discipline of guarding your own consciousness before the world gets access to it. Because if you cannot protect your mind at the start of the day, you will spend the rest of the day trying to repair what should have been protected in the first place. The identity gap between waking and acting is where most people lose themselves without noticing. You open your eyes, your body starts moving, your hands begin reaching for familiar objects, and the day begins to pull you forward before you have even chosen who you are going to be inside it. This is why so many mornings feel automatic. You are not living the first part of the day. You are being carried through it by momentum left over from yesterday. There is a dangerous illusion in this. Because you are moving, you think you are in control. Because you are already doing things, you think you have started well. But motion is not command. Speed is not clarity. A person can be active and still be absent from his own life. The Stoic question is not whether you woke up early or whether you began quickly. The real question is this: did you enter the day as yourself, or did you enter it as a reaction? That gap is small, but it shapes everything. In that gap, impulse tries to become identity. You feel a little resistance in your body, and you call it laziness. You feel pressure, and you call it urgency. You feel noise, and you call it reality. But what you are really experiencing is an unchosen state taking command before reason arrives. Marcus Aurelius warned himself again and again to return to the ruling faculty, to the part of the mind that can examine, choose, and direct. Most people never return to it in the morning. They leave the house mentally scattered, then wonder why every inconvenience feels personal by midday. This is why the first minutes after waking should be treated as a point of authorship. You are writing the inner version of yourself before the public version appears. If you skip that authorship, the world writes you. A notification writes you. A memory writes you. A fear writes you. A task list writes you. Then the whole day becomes a series of responses from a self you never consciously selected. The correction is simple, but not easy. Before you act, identify. Before you answer, choose. Before you move into the world, return to the one person you are responsible for governing. Ask yourself a clean question in silence. Who will lead today, impulse or principle? This question is not dramatic. It is stabilizing. It reminds you that identity is not a mood. It is a decision repeated under pressure. When you practice this, the morning changes texture. You stop rushing to become useful and start becoming aligned. You stop measuring the first hour by output and start measuring it by coherence. Are your thoughts matching your values? Is your emotional tone serving your intention? Is your pace chosen or borrowed? These are deeper questions than productivity, and they produce better results because they correct the source, not just the symptoms. A lot of people think self-mastery begins in hard moments, in conflict, in temptation, in stress. It begins earlier. It begins when no one is watching, when the room is quiet, when the day has not yet tested you. If you cannot choose yourself in silence, you will not choose yourself under pressure. You will return to habit. You will return to speed. You will return to whatever state was strongest, not wisest. This is why the identity gap matters so much. It is the final moment where you can shape the day before the day starts shaping you. It is the bridge between being awake and being intentional. Cross it carelessly, and the whole day feels like management. Cross it consciously, and the whole day feels different, even when it is hard. The problems may still come. The delays may still happen. People may still be difficult. But you are no longer entering those conditions as a fragmented person. You are entering them as someone who already decided how to stand. And once that decision is made in the morning, something powerful happens. You stop negotiating with every feeling that appears. You stop asking your emotions for permission to be steady. You start carrying a center into the day. That center does not make life easy. It makes you harder to move. It gives you a quiet force. It gives your actions weight. It makes your words cleaner, your reactions slower, and your attention less available to nonsense. This is what most people are missing when they say they need a better morning routine. What they really need is a better morning identity. Not more tasks, but more authorship. Not more stimulation, but more self-selection. Because the person you become in the first minutes after waking is often the person who speaks in the meeting, answers the message, handles the tension, and finishes the day. If that person was never consciously formed, then the rest of the day is just damage control. So do not rush past the gap. Use it. Let the body wake, but let the mind arrive with intention. Let silence show you who is trying to lead. Then choose again. That is the beginning of real control. And it is also the beginning of a day that feels like it belongs to you. Mental posture creates daily fate long before the first problem appears. Most people only notice their posture when something goes wrong, when a delay happens, when someone speaks with the wrong tone, when pressure rises and the body tightens. But your posture was already chosen before any of that. It was chosen in the morning, in the way you met the day. Not your physical posture, but your inner stance. Were you already bracing for battle in your own head? Were you already restless? Were you already leaning toward irritation, doubt, or resistance? If so, the day did not break you. It only revealed the position you started from. This is why two people can face the same morning and live completely different days. One sees interruption and becomes agitated. The other sees interruption and adjusts without losing center. The event is the same. The fate feels different because the posture was different. A weak posture is not weakness of character. It is a mind that entered the day unconsciously contracted. It interprets everything as pressure. It treats small friction like a personal attack. It spends energy defending itself from ordinary life. A composed posture is different. It does not mean passive. It does not mean slow. It means internally aligned. It means your mind is not leaning forward into anxiety or backward into avoidance. It is standing where it is, ready to act but not desperate, ready to respond but not eager to react. This kind of posture changes the meaning of the entire day. A full schedule no longer feels like a threat. A difficult person no longer feels like a command. Uncertainty no longer feels like collapse. You still feel pressure, but pressure no longer controls your interpretation. The Stoics trained this on purpose. They understood that the quality of your day depends less on what happens and more on the condition of the ruling mind. Marcus Aurelius did not tell himself to hope for a peaceful day. He reminded himself what kind of mind he needed to carry into whatever came. That is posture, a private orientation of the soul, a way of standing inside experience before experience begins testing you. Morning is where that orientation is formed. If your first moments are rushed, noisy, and unexamined, the posture becomes scattered. Your attention splinters. Your emotional tone becomes unstable. Your nervous system enters the day tilted forward, already spending energy before real demands arrive. Then by noon, everything feels heavier than it should. You call it exhaustion, but part of it is posture. You have been mentally resisting the day since sunrise. This is why silence in the morning is not just calm. It is alignment. It gives you a chance to notice the position of your mind before it hardens into behavior. Am I already tense? Am I already trying to outrun the day? Am I already offended by things that have not happened? These questions are not abstract. They are diagnostic. They help you catch the posture before it becomes your fate. And once you see it, you can correct it. You can loosen the internal grip. You can stop leaning into imagined conflict. You can choose a steadier stance. Today, I will not rush my mind. Today, I will meet inconvenience without making it personal. Today, I will keep my tone clean even when others do not. This is not motivational language. This is mental positioning. You are setting your posture before the first test. A lot of people think they need more discipline because their days feel chaotic. Sometimes, what they need first is a better inner stance. Discipline without posture becomes force. You push yourself through the day while staying internally fragmented. That works for a while, then it turns into irritation, fatigue, and hidden resentment. But discipline built on posture feels different. It feels cleaner. You are not dragging yourself. You are directing yourself. This is where morning power becomes visible. Not because the morning itself is dramatic, but because it quietly determines the way you will interpret reality for the next 12 hours. If your posture is defensive, you will find threats everywhere. If your posture is impatient, you will feel delayed by everything. If your posture is grounded, the same world becomes workable. The same problems become training. The same pressure becomes structure. So before the day asks anything from you, ask one question that most people never ask. What is my mind's posture right now? Not what is on the schedule, not what messages are waiting, not what I need to finish. What is my posture? Because from that posture, your words will come, your choices will come, your reactions will come. And by evening, what you call your fate will often be the accumulated result of how you stood in the morning. Own that posture, and you stop being pushed around by every shift in the day. You become steadier than your circumstances. You become less available to emotional weather. You stop waking up into life like a target and start entering it like a person with form. That is what gives a day direction, and that is what gives silence in the morning its real value. It does not just calm you down. It teaches you how to stand. The hour of inner authority is where self-command stops being an idea and becomes a practiced force. Most people think authority is something external, a title, a position, a role, a voice that others listen to. But the most important authority in your life is the one almost no one sees. It is the authority you have over your own attention, your own impulses, your own emotional direction. If that authority is weak, every outside demand becomes stronger than you. If that authority is strong, even a difficult day meets resistance. Morning is the best place to train this because the pressure is low and the choices are small. This is where many people miss the point. They look for one big action that will transform the day, but inner authority is built through quiet decisions that seem unimportant in the moment. Not checking the phone immediately, sitting still for a minute when the mind wants movement, delaying response until thought is clear, choosing a steady pace instead of obeying urgency. These are not dramatic acts, but they are acts of command. They tell the mind that impulse is not the ruler here. Every time you obey an impulse too quickly, you weaken that authority a little. Every time you pause and choose, you strengthen it. This is why so many people feel mentally exhausted before the day has even started. It is not only because they have too much to do, it is because they have already spent their authority on automatic reactions. By the time real decisions arrive, they feel thin inside, scattered, easily influenced, easily irritated. They are still functioning, but they are no longer leading themselves. Seneca understood that freedom is not the absence of demands. It is the ability to remain governed by reason while demands are present. That kind of freedom does not begin in crisis. It begins in the first hour, when no one is forcing you, and yet your habits are pulling you. The first hour reveals whether you are training obedience to noise or obedience to principle. A person who cannot guide himself in quiet will not guide himself in pressure. He will simply become more sophisticated in his reactivity. This is why the morning should be treated like a private court, a place where the ruling part of the mind takes its seat before the public day begins. You do not need a long ritual. You need a clear transfer of authority. The mind wakes up unstable, full of residue from sleep, memory, emotion, unfinished thoughts. If you move too fast, that unstable state starts making decisions. If you pause, breathe, and direct your attention on purpose, you allow reason to take the chair. The difference is enormous. The day may look the same from the outside, but inside, command has changed hands. Inner authority also creates emotional dignity. When you govern your first hour, you stop carrying a begging energy into the day. You stop looking for quick stimulation to feel ready. You stop needing noise to feel alive. You stop depending on urgency to feel important. There is a quiet dignity in beginning the day without immediately consuming, reacting, or proving. It sends a signal to your own mind that your state is not for sale. You are not available for invasion at sunrise. A lot of people say they want peace, but what they really need is command. Peace without command disappears the moment life gets loud. But command creates a peace that survives interruption. It gives you a center you can return to. It makes your thoughts less scattered, your tone less sharp, your reactions less childish. You become slower in the right way, not passive, but precise. You stop giving full emotional responses to small events, and this authority compounds. The person who governs the first hour often governs the first conversation. The person who governs the first conversation often governs the first setback. The person who governs the first setback usually keeps the day from collapsing. What looks like emotional strength later in the day is often just early authority protected and extended. It starts small, then becomes visible. So if you want to feel more in control of your life, stop waiting for a major breakthrough. Train the first hour. Use it to build private authority. Let your actions be few but chosen. Let your mind feel the difference between compulsion and command. The goal is not to create a perfect morning. The goal is to create a governed mind. Once that mind is active, the day can still be hard, but it no longer owns you. This is where smart silence becomes more than a theme. It becomes a discipline of rulership. You are not trying to feel calm for a few minutes. You are establishing who has authority before the world starts making requests. Get that right. And even chaos meets a different version of you. The hour of inner authority is where self-command stops being an idea and becomes a practiced force. Most people think authority is external, a title, a role, a voice that other people obey. But the most decisive authority in your life is invisible. It is the authority you have over your attention, your impulses, your emotional direction, and the meaning you assign to what happens. If that authority is weak, every outside demand grows teeth. If that authority is strong, even a difficult day meets a calmer version of you. Morning is the best place to train this because the pressure is low and the choices are small. People miss the point because they look for one big action that will transform everything. But inner authority is built through quiet decisions that feel unimportant in the moment. Not checking the phone right away. Sitting still when the mind begs for stimulation. Letting the first breath be yours, not the world's. Delaying response until thought is clear. Choosing a steady pace instead of obeying urgency. These are not productivity tricks. They are votes. Each one tells the mind who rules here. Every time you obey an impulse too fast, you teach your nervous system that feelings are commanders. Every time you pause and choose, you teach it that reason is present. That difference compounds. It determines whether you enter the day as a leader or as a responder. It also explains why so many people feel mentally exhausted before noon. They did not do too much. They surrendered too early, spending their authority on automatic reactions, scrolling, checking, comparing, and bracing for problems that are not even real yet. By the time real decisions arrive, the mind feels thin inside, easily pulled and easily irritated. Seneca would call this a form of slavery that looks normal. You can do anything you want in the morning and still be unfree, because the want itself may be an impulse you never examined. Freedom is not the absence of obligations. Freedom is the ability to remain governed by a chosen principle while obligations surround you. That kind of freedom does not begin in crisis. It begins in the first hour, when no one is forcing you, and yet your habits are pulling you by the collar. Treat the morning like a private court where the ruling faculty takes its seat before the public day begins. The mind wakes up unstable, full of residue from sleep, memory, emotion, unfinished thoughts. If you move too fast, that unstable state starts making decisions. If you pause, breathe, and direct attention on purpose, you let the higher mind take the chair. You do not need a long ritual to do this. You need a clear transfer of authority. One clean moment where you prove, through behavior, I will not be led by whatever appears first. Inner authority creates emotional dignity. When you govern your first hour, you stop searching for quick stimulation to feel ready. You stop needing noise to feel alive. You stop depending on urgency to feel important. There is a quiet dignity in beginning without immediately consuming, reacting, or proving. It sends a message to your own mind that your state is not public property. You are not available for invasion at sunrise. A lot of people say they want peace, but what they really need is command. Peace without command evaporates the moment life gets loud. But command creates a peace that survives interruption. It gives you a center you can return to. It makes your reactions slower in the right way, not passive, but precise. You stop letting other people's moods set your temperature, and this authority becomes visible. The person who governs the first hour often governs the first conversation. The person who governs the first conversation often governs the first setback. The person who governs the first setback usually keeps the day from collapsing. What looks like strength later is often just authority protected early, then extended forward. Nothing mystical, just a practiced refusal to hand your steering wheel to the first emotion that shows up, again and again and again, now. So if you want control, stop waiting for a major breakthrough. Train the first hour. Let your actions be few, but chosen. Let your mind feel the difference between compulsion and command. The goal is not a perfect morning. The goal is a governed mind. Once that mind is awake, the day can still be hard, but it no longer owns you. Train for friction before it arrives, because the day does not become difficult only when something goes wrong. It becomes difficult the moment your mind expects comfort and reality refuses to cooperate. Most people wake up hoping for a clean path, smooth conversations, quick answers, no delays, no tension, no interruption. Then life behaves like life, and they take it personally. A late reply feels like disrespect. Traffic feels like sabotage. A change of plan feels like injustice. The problem is not only the event. The problem is the expectation that the event should have obeyed you. Stoic strength begins when that contract is broken on purpose. Before the world tests you, you test your own expectations. You remind yourself, this day will contain friction. Someone will be impatient. Something will move slower than I want. A plan may fail. My energy may drop. I may be misunderstood. This is not pessimism. This is preparation. A mind that expects zero resistance becomes fragile. A mind that trains for resistance becomes stable. It does not waste energy acting surprised every time reality acts like reality. This is why the morning is the ideal time to prepare for friction. In the morning, your emotional tone is still soft clay. You can shape it before pressure hardens it. If you begin the day only chasing comfort, your patience will be weak by the first inconvenience. But if you begin by strengthening your interpretation, inconvenience loses its power to define your mood. You start seeing friction as part of the path, not proof that the path is wrong. Marcus Aurelius practiced this constantly. He did not wake up asking how to avoid difficult people. He woke up reminding himself that he would meet people who were careless, self-centered, impatient, and confused, not to become cold, but to remain clear. He prepared his mind so he would not hand over his peace when the first test arrived. That is the move most people skip. They want emotional control in the moment of impact, but they never built it before impact. Training for friction is not about becoming negative. It is about becoming less naive. There is a difference. A negative mind sees problems everywhere and shrinks. A trained mind sees possible problems and steadies itself. It says, if this happens, I stay composed. If I am delayed, I adjust. If someone is rude, I keep my tone. If I feel pressure, I slow the mind before I speed the body. That is not weakness. That is command under anticipated stress. This practice changes the chemistry of the day. Friction stops feeling like an attack and starts feeling like a cue. A cue to return to posture. A cue to protect your breath. A cue to speak with restraint. A cue to remember that your job is not to control the event, but to govern your response. Once you internalize this, the day still has sharp edges, but they stop cutting as deep. You recover faster. You carry less residue. You stop letting one bad moment poison the next 3 hours. Most people suffer twice. First from the inconvenience itself, then from their resistance to it. They say, "This should not be happening." They replay it. They intensify it. They let one disruption become an emotional atmosphere. Morning preparation interrupts that chain. It gives you a sentence to stand on before the storm starts. Something like, "Friction is part of my training today." With that one idea, the mind becomes harder to provoke and easier to recall. There is also a deeper benefit. When you train for friction early, you stop building your self-respect on outcomes. You stop saying, "I had good day only because people cooperated, timing worked, and nothing challenged me." You start measuring the day by conduct. Did I stay sane when pressure rose? Did I remain deliberate when emotion tried to rush me? Did I protect my character when comfort disappeared? That standard makes you stronger because it places your victory back inside your control. Smart silence is not just silence for comfort. It is silence for calibration. It is where you strengthen your interpretation before the world challenges it. You are not trying to predict every problem. You are building a mind that does not panic when problems appear. That is why this chapter matters. If you train for friction before it arrives, you do not need a perfect day to remain steady. You only need remembrance. And remembrance is easier when it was chosen in the morning. Stop letting early emotion write the script, because the first feeling you accept in the morning often becomes the narrator of your entire day. People think the day is shaped by what happens later, by meetings, deadlines, surprises, conflicts. But the day is often shaped by something much smaller, something almost invisible. A slight irritation, a low-grade anxiety, a sense of pressure that appears before you even stand up. If you let that emotion settle in without challenge, it becomes your operating system. Then every event is processed through it. Every message sounds sharper. Every delay feels heavier. Every request feels like disrespect. You are not reacting to the day as it is. You are reacting to the mood that entered first. This is the trap. Early emotion feels like truth. You wake up and feel tense, and you assume the day will be tense. You feel behind, and you assume you are behind. You feel restless, and you assume you need stimulation. The Stoic move is to notice the emotion without granting it authority. Feeling something is not the same as being commanded by it. But most people confuse these two. They treat the first emotion as an order. They obey it with speed, noise, scrolling, rushing, and mental arguments. Then they wonder why they cannot concentrate, why they snap at people, why they feel tired even when they slept. If you want control, you have to treat the early emotional state like a draft, not a final version. In the morning, your mind is still forming. It is still deciding what the world means today. That is why the first emotion matters so much. It is not only a feeling, it is a filter. And whatever filter you install early will color your entire perception. Seneca would tell you that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Morning is where imagination quietly starts building its little stories. You see a message and imagine conflict. You glance at a schedule and imagine failure. You feel your body heavy and imagine a bad day. The emotion rises, and the mind immediately tries to justify it with stories. That is how an ordinary morning becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The day has not even begun, but you have already accepted a narrative. The correction is not to force yourself to feel good. That is another trap. Forcing positivity is just another form of dependence. The correction is to choose your inner standard before emotions argue for their own importance. Ask yourself a sharp question while the room is still quiet. What is the emotion trying to make me do right now? Is it trying to make me rush, avoid, prove, escape, attack? When you name the impulse, you reduce its power. You move from possession to observation. You return to the ruling faculty. That is real calm, not the absence of feeling, but the presence of governance. Early emotion becomes dangerous when it turns into momentum. Momentum is when you stop deciding and start sliding. One anxious thought turns into 10. One irritation becomes a tone. That tone becomes the way you speak to people. Then people respond to that tone, and now your mood has recruited evidence. You say, "See, the day is bad." But you helped build the day you are complaining about, not because you are guilty, but because you were unconscious at the start. This is why smart silence is a strategic interruption. Silence gives you a pause long enough to refuse emotional autopilot. The mind wants to label everything immediately. Silence delays that labeling. It gives you room to choose what deserves your energy. It also gives you room to reset your inner temperature before you enter the social world. Because once conversations begin, the day accelerates. And in acceleration, most people lose choice. Think of it like this. The morning is the only time when you can set your emotional tone without negotiation. Later, your tone becomes influenced by other people's needs, other people's urgency, other people's moods. But in the morning, you can establish a baseline. A baseline is not a mood. It is a posture. It is the decision that even if I feel pressure today, I will not become pressure. Even if I meet rudeness, I will not become rude. Even if I am delayed, I will not become frantic. That is not denial. That is leadership. You do not need many minutes to do this, but you need honesty. Notice what emotion is present. Admit it without drama. Then refuse to let it write the script. Replace the automatic story with a deliberate one. This day will test me, and I will answer with character. This day will contain friction, and I will respond with clarity. This day may not be easy, but I will not be impulsive. When you start the day with that kind of sentence inside you, you carry a different kind of strength. Not loud strength, quiet strength. The kind that makes you harder to disturb because you are not waking up into your feelings like a servant. The goal of this chapter is simple. Do not let the first emotion be your leader. Let it be a signal that the mind needs governance. And once governance is present, emotion stops being a dictator and becomes information. Useful, but not authoritative. When you do that, the whole day changes. Because you stop living inside a mood. You start living inside a choice. Build a morning that makes you hard to disturb, because the real goal is not to feel inspired. The real goal is to become durable. A lot of people chase a morning that feels good, a clean routine, a perfect vibe, a smooth start. But the day does not care about your vibe. The day will bring noise, requests, delays, opinions, and friction. So if your morning only works when conditions are gentle, then it is not training, it is comfort. Smart silence is different. It builds a mind that can keep its shape when the world tries to bend it. Being hard to disturb does not mean being cold. It means being stable. It means your inner state is not easily rented by the next notification, the next person's mood, or the next surprise. Most people think disturbance comes from big events, but a lot of disturbance comes from small invasions. A glance at the phone, a quick comparison, a rushed reply, a mental argument you start before breakfast. These things look harmless, but they train your mind to be porous. And a porous mind leaks energy all day. So the morning has to become a filter, not a funnel. A funnel lets everything pour in. A filter chooses what enters and what is refused. This is why silence matters, not as a romantic idea, but as a boundary. When you begin with silence, you are proving a point to your nervous system. You are telling it, we do not need stimulation to exist. We do not need urgency to feel alive. We do not need immediate input to begin functioning. That single message changes the way you move through the day because you stop starting from hunger. Hunger for updates, hunger for approval, hunger for control, hunger for certainty. Hunger makes you reactive. A mind that begins in silence begins in enough. There is also something else. People get disturbed not only because the world is loud, but because their inner attention is weak. When attention is weak, everything feels strong. Every distraction pulls you, every emotion hijacks you, every opinion gets inside. So the morning must strengthen attention like a muscle, not by forcing concentration on some complicated task, but by practicing simple continuity, one thought at a time, one breath at a time, one deliberate movement at a time. When you practice this early, you create mental traction. Later, when the day tries to slide you into chaos, you have something to stand on. Marcus Aurelius wrote as if he were coaching himself back into this traction. He did not speak to himself like a motivational speaker. He spoke like a commander returning a soldier to formation. Come back to yourself. Come back to what you control. Come back to the present. That is what you are doing in the morning when you build durability. You are returning to your own command before the world tempts you into scatteredness. Being hard to disturb also means being slower to interpret. Most disturbance is not created by what happens, but by the speed at which the mind assigns meaning. Someone is late and you interpret disrespect. Someone is brief and you interpret hostility. A plan changes and you interpret sabotage. The event is neutral for a moment, and then your story makes it heavy. A durable morning trains you to delay the story, not to suppress intelligence, but to protect clarity. You become the kind of person who asks, "What else could this mean?" Or even simpler, "I do not know yet, so I will not react yet." That pause is power. And there is a deep psychological trigger here that most people ignore. When you start your day by proving you can resist tiny impulses, you gain a quiet confidence that lasts. You do not need to hype yourself up. You already have evidence of control. You already practiced authority. That evidence changes your self-image. You stop thinking of yourself as someone who gets swept away. You start thinking of yourself as someone who can hold the line. That shift is subtle, but it is the difference between a day you survive and a day you direct. A morning that makes you hard to disturb is not complicated. It is consistent. It teaches your mind one lesson repeatedly. I will not hand over my center quickly. I will not be moved by the first emotion. I will not be owned by the first demand. The world can be loud, but my mind does not have to become loud with it. And when you live from that lesson, you stop needing perfect conditions. You can work in noise without becoming noise. You can face pressure without becoming pressure. You can meet difficult people without becoming difficult. This is where smart silence becomes strategic transformation. You are not building a routine. You are building a temperament that can walk into the day with composure, hold attention when distractions multiply, and keep character when tension rises. When you have that, the day may still be heavy, but it stops being chaotic inside you. And that is what most people are really searching for. Not an easier day, but a steadier mind. Own the morning or negotiate with chaos, because that is the trade most people make without admitting it. They wake up and immediately begin bargaining with the day. Just a quick check, just a quick reply, just a little scroll, just a look at what everyone else is doing. And then, without noticing, they hand the steering wheel to whatever appears first. The morning becomes a marketplace where attention is sold cheaply, and by afternoon they feel drained, reactive, and strangely disappointed with themselves. Not because they are weak, but because they started the day without leadership. This is the truth most people avoid. If you do not establish command early, you will spend the rest of the day trying to win it back. You will try to recover focus after distractions. You will try to recover patience after irritation. You will try to recover confidence after comparison. You will try to recover calm after the first emotional hit. That recovery is exhausting, and it is the hidden reason people feel like life is always chasing them. They are not building from strength, they are repairing from surrender. Stoic clarity offers a cleaner path. Not a path where the day becomes gentle, but a path where you stop being fragile. You stop living as if your inner state is a public space anyone can enter. You stop letting the first message decide your mood. You stop letting the first inconvenience decide your tone. You stop letting the first pressure decide your speed. That is what ownership looks like. It is not controlling everything. It is controlling what is yours. Your attention, your interpretation, your conduct. Think about what that does to your life over time. A person who owns the morning is not just calmer. They are more consistent. They are less dramatic. They waste less energy explaining themselves to themselves. They make fewer impulsive decisions. They create fewer unnecessary conflicts. They stop living in reaction cycles where one moment triggers a whole day of mental noise. They become predictable in the best way. Not boring, but reliable, steady, hard to push off center. That kind of person is rare now, and because it is rare, it is powerful. The world is designed to make you negotiable. It wants your first hour because it knows that if it gets your first hour, it gets your posture, your mood, and your pace. It gets your willingness to be interrupted. It gets your habit of responding without thinking. It gets your impulse to check, to compare, to rush, to prove. Once those patterns are installed early, the rest of the day is easier to hijack. You call it a busy life, but often it is an unguarded life. So let this conclusion be simple and sharp. You do not need a new personality. You need a protected beginning. You do not need more motivation. You need more authority. And authority is built exactly where you have the most leverage, before the world gets loud. The morning is leverage. The morning is where you can choose yourself without competition. It is where you can begin with a mind that is yours, not rented, not invaded, not pulled into someone else's urgency. If you want a real challenge that changes you, do not promise a perfect routine. Promise a controlled opening. For the next 7 mornings, treat the first part of your day like a private territory. Do not let random input enter first. Do not let urgency speak before you do. Give yourself a quiet threshold where you decide the posture you will carry. Decide what kind of person will speak today, even when the day tests you. Not the person who reacts fast, but the person who responds cleanly. Not the person who gets pulled into noise, but the person who stays coherent under pressure. When you do this, you will notice something that surprises you. The day will still contain friction, but the friction will feel smaller. Not because life got easier, but because you got steadier. You will still face delays, but you will not lose yourself inside them. You will still meet difficult people, but you will not let them rewrite your character. You will still feel emotion, but emotion will stop being the author of your behavior. That is ownership, and ownership is what turns ordinary mornings into a life with direction. Finally, remember this line when you wake up tomorrow. Your first hour is either a foundation or a leak. If you protect it, the day stands. If you give it away, the day becomes a negotiation with chaos. Choose the foundation. Choose the quiet that makes you strong. Own the morning, and the day stops owning you.